Good day, everyone. This will be the report discussion of Group 3. Today, we will be discussing the community-based disaster management with its subtopics. As the first reporter, I will be discussing risk assessment under community-based disaster management. So today, I will be giving you a brief discussion of what is community-based disaster management. So this topic is not only essential in disaster preparedness, but also critical in saving lives and reducing suffering in communities. Community-based disaster management, or CBDM, focuses on empowering communities to become active participants in preparing for, responding to, and recovering from disasters. It recognizes that the community itself is the first to be affected and the first to respond. It also views disasters as a question of people's vulnerability. Localized, proactive approach empowering barangays to identify risk and build resilience. It is mandated by the Republic Act 10121 and it focuses on vulnerability assessments, early warning systems, evacuation planning, and utilizing local capacity, moving beyond reactive relief to disaster prevention. It also covers prevention and mitigation, preparedness, emergency response, and recovery. So at the heart of CBDM is risk assessment. So why is this important? Because before we plan, respond, or intervene, we must first understand what hazards exist, who is at risk, and how severe the impact could be. Because without proper risk assessment, disaster response becomes reactive instead of proactive, and this can lead to greater damage, more casualties, and overwhelmed health systems. So, if each individual in the community is familiar with the ways of coping and precautionary measures, then the disruption by a disaster can be reduced. And as for future nurses and healthcare professionals, understanding risk assessment allows us to anticipate health needs, protect vulnerable populations, and contribute to effective disaster planning. So next, I will discuss the concept of risk assessment. So once again, risk assessment is a systematic process of identifying hazards and evaluating their potential effects on a community. So it is important to understand that risk is not just about the disaster itself. Instead, it is a combination of different factors. So first is we have hazard. So this refers to any event that can cause harm, such as typhoons, floods, earthquakes, or even disease outbreaks. Second is we have exposure. So this refers to the people or systems or property that are located in areas where hazards may occur. So it is the people or property in harm's way. So for example, a strong typhoon in the middle of the ocean poses little risk, but when the typhoon hits a populated coastal area, then the risk becomes significant. So nakabase siya sa exposure, kung na-expose ba ang mga people or ang property in harm's way. Third is ang vulnerability. So this describes how susceptible a population is to harm. So, i-identify niya kung at risk ba and why they are at risk. So, for example, certain groups that are more vulnerable are children, elderly individuals, pregnant women, or people with chronic illnesses, low-income families. So, these groups may have limited ability to respond, evacuate, or recover, making them more likely to suffer during disasters. And lastly is capacity. So capacity identifies the people's coping strategies and resources who has access to and control over these resources. So capacity refers to the resources, strengths, and abilities of a community to cope with disasters. So kaya ba sa community and the people nga mo-cope sa disaster na padulungay. So for example, availability of healthcare services. Next is disaster-trained personnel ba? Next is early warning systems and accessible evacuation centers. So mo itong mga example sa capacity kung capable ba ang community na mo-cope sa disaster. Now, the relationship between these factors is very important. And to further understand is natay ipailay lang the risk equation. So, ang kining risk equation is risk is equal to hazard, vulnerability, all over capacity. So, kini nagpasabot that the risk increases when hazards and vulnerability are high, and the risk decreases when the capacity is strong. So this means that even if the community faces frequent hazards, strong preparedness and resources can significantly reduce disaster impact. So even if taas ang or strong kaayo ang hazard and daghan ang na-expose na mga vulnerable people, if kaya sa community and kaya sa mga personnel nga mo cope ato na disaster, mas mo lessen ang risk sa disaster. So next is the type of hazards. So we have 3. Kuan lang ni siya kanang generalized. So, communities are exposed to different types of hazards, and understanding these help guide appropriate intervention. So, first are natural hazards. So, these are typhoons, floods, earthquakes, and landslides. And in the Philippines, these are very common and often result in injuries, displacement, and outbreaks of diseases like leptospirosis and diarrhea. Next is human-made hazards. So, this includes industrial accidents, fires, chemical spills, and acts of terrorism. This can lead to burns, toxic exposure, and long-term environmental damage. And third is biological hazards such as pandemics and disease outbreaks. So examples would be COVID-19 and dengue, which can overwhelm healthcare systems and affect large populations. So understanding the type of hazard helps determine the kind of preparedness and response needed. So it allows communities to prepare specific strategies instead of using a one-size-fits-all approach. So now we have the steps in risk assessment. So risk assessment follows a structured process. So first is hazard identification. So this step answers the question, what disasters can occur in this community? So this is done through observation, reviewing past events, and consulting residents. So for example, in a coastal barangay, common ang storm surge and flooding. And in near factories, mas common po dito ang chemical exposures. So identify na to kung unsa ang mga hazards na commonly mahitabo dira. Next is vulnerability analysis. So when we say vulnerability analysis, diri na to identify who is most at risk and why. So not everyone is affected equally, and recognizing vulnerable groups helps ensure that interventions are targeted and inclusive. So mga vulnerable groups kasagaran nag-include ang mga children, elderly, pregnant women, and persons with disabilities, and low-income families. So, aside from that, for example, informal settlers living near rivers are more vulnerable to floods. So, third is capacity assessment. So, this focuses on available strengths and resources such as health centers, trained responders, and evacuation centers which the community is aware of. So, ang kining capacity assessment, nagbutpasabot na it focuses on identifying mga resources available sa community, such as katong mga healthcare facilities, trained personnel, and mga preparedness programs sa community. So, kini na step is very important because it shifts the perspective from what is lacking to what can be strengthened. Next is risk analysis and prioritization. So in this step, we determine which risks are most urgent and require immediate attention. So for example, if flooding occurs frequently and affects many people, it affects many people, it becomes a high priority risk. So, paraning sa example of national frequent flooding, tapos daghan pa jud ang mga na-expose na mga people, mga vulnerable people, plus low pa jud ilang resources, so maglisod sila og cope ato na disaster. That's why ginahimo siya as high risk priority. So, ang kining risk analysis and prioritization, it identifies which risk need urgent attention. So, lastly, we have mapping and documentation. So, this involves creating visual representations of hazard-prone areas, evacuation routes, and safe zones. So, this step is essential because it makes information easier to understand and apply, especially sa community. So, next, I will discuss the tools and methods used. So, these tools ensure that risk assessment is evidence-based and community-driven. So, to ensure nga ang risk assessment nato is accurate, systematic, and reliable, kini na mga tools atong ginagamit. So, these tools help gather both objective data and community-based insights, which are important sa ato ang disaster planning. So, first is ang community hazard mapping. So, kini siya, isa ni siya ka visual tool where the community creates a map of their area to identify important features. So, nag-include ani ka ng mga hazard-prone areas such as mga flood zones or landslide areas. Dapat sa ilahang map nakabutang dito ang mga evacuation centers para makita sa community aha siya located, mga health facilities, mga safe zones and routes. So, kini community hazard mapping, it helps people visually understand where the danger exists and where safety can be found. Anong importante man ni siya? Because not everyone easily understands written data, but ang maps, it makes information clear, simple, and accessible, especially during emergencies. So, for example, sa community hazard mapping, for example, naatay kanang barangay map showing which areas are flooded during heavy rain, which helps residents know where not to stay and where to evacuate. Next is household surveys or assessments. So surveys are structured questionnaires given to households to collect specific information. So sa pag-collect nila sa information, this may include mga number of family members, presence of elderly or pregnant women, mga health conditions nga nag-exist silang family, and access to resources. So this is kining household surveys or assessment, makahelp ni siya to gather quantitative data or measurable information about sa population sa community. It is important because it helps identify kinsa ang vulnerable and unsa ilahang mga needs, allowing responders to plan appropriately. So for example, sa household surveys is kanang a survey reveals that many households have elderly members who needs assistance during evacuation. Next is focus group discussions. So, kining focus group discussions, isa ni siya ka interactive method used to gather deeper insights from the community. So, for example, masulod ani ka ng mga interviews, mga one-on-one conversations. Ang focus group discussion, kanang mga small groups or sharing of experiences, muna siya ang focus group discussion. So, para maning focus group discussion, so it is to collect qualitative data or information based on people's experiences, beliefs, and perceptions. It is important because communities often have local knowledge that cannot be found in records or statistics. So, for example, the residents may share that flooding occurs faster in certain areas even if it is not officially recorded. Next is historical disaster data. So this refers to records of past disasters such as kanang mga frequency of disasters, ang severity, the damage caused, and the number of affected individuals. So ang kining historical disaster records, it helps to identify patterns and trends over time. Why is it important ba? Kay ang past events kay ang strong indicators nato sa atong future risk. So if nagabalik-balik-balik og exist ang katuna na disaster, ma-prepare na siya daan sa community. So for example, if a barangay floods every year during rainy season, that it is considered a high risk area. Next is ang risk matrix. So a risk matrix is a tool used to prioritize risk by comparing likelihood, which means how often will it happen, and severity, which means how serious will the impact be. So it aims to determine which risks need immediate attention. And it's important because not all risks are equal, and this tool helps decision makers focus on the most dangerous and urgent na threat. So for example, with frequent flooding with severe damage, it means high risk nga siya. While ang rare nga minor earthquake nga mahitabo sa isa ka community is low risk. So compared sa minor earthquake na rarely lang siya mag-occur, mas importante ang na-address first ang frequent flooding with severe damage sa isa ka community. So kini na mga tools work together to ensure that risk assessment is not based on assumptions but on evidence, community experience, and proper analysis. Because in disaster management, accurate information leads to better decisions, and better decisions save lives. So once again, mao ni ang mga tools and methods used in risk assessment. So next, we will be discussing the role of nurses in risk assessment. So nurses play a crucial role in risk assessment, especially in identifying health-related risk, because they are responsible for collecting health-related data, identifying at-risk population, sino ang mas vulnerable sa disaster, educating communities about disaster preparedness. So, ilang i-teach ang community paunsa mo cope ato nga disaster, and participating in emergency planning. So, nurses acts as a bridge between the healthcare system and the community, ensuring that disaster preparedness includes health protection and promotion. This highlights that nursing is not only about bedside care but also about community safety and disaster resilience. So in conclusion, risk assessment is the foundation of effective disaster management, and community participation is key because disaster preparedness starts at the local level. So now, we will now consider a scenario to assess atong learnings for this topic, risk assessment. So, a coastal barangay is frequently affected by typhoons, and as a strong typhoon approaches, a community health nurse conducts a risk assessment. She observes that many families live near the shoreline in makeshift houses, making them highly exposed to storm surges and flooding. The community includes elderly individuals, pregnant women, and children. And there is one evacuation center available, but it is small and lacks adequate medical supplies. Although there is an early warning system, some residents are hesitant to evacuate due to fear of losing their belongings. So based on ang scenario, ito ang i-identify unsa ang mga hazards, vulnerabilities, capacities, and overall level of risk. So kaya ba nato ni siya ma-identify? Yes. So with sa discussion na to ganina, nag-ingon man ta dito nga ang mga hazards is ang katong mga harm nga mopadulong sa atong community. So, ang hazards sa ato ang case scenario is si typhoon, si storm surge, and si flooding. And ang ato ang vulnerabilities or ang mga at risk na mga population or mga location sa disaster is ang katong mga nagpuyo sa makeshift housing, ang katong duol sa coastal areas, and ang community kay puro mga elderly, pregnant women, and children, and of course mas mapataas ilang risk because gagduwa-duwa sila og evacuate. Next is the capacities. So, ang capacities na nasa tong case scenario is that yes, na presence of community health nurse and na early warning system and na available evacuation center. However, saan to pag-identify na high risk siya or low risk? So the risk is considered high because all three major components contribute significantly. Ang hazard nato is strong and frequent daw ang typhoon. And ang vulnerability nato is high due to both physical and social factors. And although there is some capacity, it is insufficient to meet the needs of the population. Kasi although na early warning system ang ato ang community, naagyahapoy reluctant to evacuate tungod kay dili sila ganahan nga mawala ilang mga belongings. So, mas mutaas ilang risk ani para sa disaster kaya di naman sila ganahan mo evacuate. So this scenario clearly shows that disasters are not caused by hazards alone but by the interaction between hazards, vulnerability, and capacity. So, sa atong case scenario, di ba natay hazards which is frequent siya and strong. And then sa atong mga vulnerabilities is daghan tag presence of mga vulnerable people which is ang elderly, pregnant women, and children. And napad tay mga areas nga nagduol sa dagat and duol sa coast and natay mga people nga nagpuyo lang sa makeshift housing which increases their risk sa typhoon. Although ang atong community is capable sila mo cope tungod sa na sila presence sa community health nurse, na sila early warning system, and na sila evacuation center, pero the thing is, ang ilang evacuation center is small and it lacks resources. So, ang ilang capacities is dili siya enough para mo cope sa ilahang mga needs. So, therefore, ang atong situation is, ang community is high risk. So in conclusion, risk assessment is the foundation of effective disaster management. It allows communities and healthcare professionals to anticipate potential dangers, identify those most at risk, and allocate resources efficiently and implement preventive measures. Most importantly, it transforms disaster management from a reactive response into a proactive system. And as future nurses, understanding and applying risk assessment enables us to not only care for patients during disasters, but also to protect communities before disasters even occur. Because in disaster management, preparedness is not just important, it is life-saving. Thank you for listening to my report. I am Serendipity O. Casilaw.